Chapter 10. The Enormous Restraints. I once flew across a place where they were hacking down trees as if they had no life in them. It seemed to be a common thread in humans that if something did not speak and could not articulate itself, it was soulless. "I don't get it," spoke Willow to nature's manifestations. "Humans are constantly campaigning other humans to not eat animals, to save the fish. But I rarely hear them say things like, don't buy wooden furniture, or don't cut and want wooden doors and tables. Where do they think all the wood comes from?" "I'll tell you where. From my body and my arms. And once I'm gone, I'm gone. There's no prosthetics for me." Willow chuckled at the idea of a prosthetic limb on his trunk. "I hear you, Willow," came the deep voice of Dragon Tree. "It's like they know we are important, but they don't. A little like smoking. They know it can kill you and that it is bad for you, and yet still they do it." "Ha ha ha. You all speak truths," affirmed Oak. "There is a reason that in the yogic discipline we are called the Tree of Life. Without us, there would be no life. For one, we absorb all the carbon dioxide humans keep ejecting into the air like a giant disco smoke machine, and then we give them back oxygen. We keep the planet cool, we create clouds to protect the atmosphere, remove pollutants from the soil and the air. Our roots prevent soil erosion and floods, and we look dapper in all our various forms. I mean, I could go on and on about all that we do, but I know we must continue this story of yoga, because otherwise there's little hope left for us, and by extension, the human." "It is true," uttered Baobab. "The human must learn that we are a large part of the puzzle of which they are a piece. Each individual human cannot keep going on as if their individual actions are so tiny that it does not make a difference. And yet, the individual's actions and thoughts impact the entire planet, just as cutting one of us down impacts the overall balance of energy. Can you imagine if a tree walked up to a human and said, 'Hey, we see you have 9 kids. You don't mind if we take one and turn him into a limb for the rest of us, do you? For surely the loss of one will not impact your family.'" All the trees in the cove were tickled by this, and for a moment they all visualized a life where they did to humans what humans did to them. But of course it was brief, because not one tree engaged in negative thoughts, violent actions, or low-frequency emotions. It is because nearly 8 billion of you think you can live like this that we are in this predicament. I'm telling you, Corey, change on a global scale starts with you, the individual human. Stop looking to others to solve the problem of the planet's demise. Instead, look within you, because there is so much power in there. Just the simple act of not using wood, recycling, and abstaining from excess materialism and eating resonates positively out into the world. Corey was nodding this way and that, such that I feared his head would fall off. I landed on his shoulder, and I was happy to see he was comfortable arriving on his own. "Sorry I'm late, everybody. Some human was trying to shoot me with a rifle." "What? Why?" Corey and 100 other beings blurted out in unison. "Well, I would love to tell you, but he did not seem to want to converse with me about it. But thanks to Corey telling me to zigzag where I ever targeted, I survived a bullet in my bottom, or worse, in my heart. I am sure he wanted to mount me in his house because he did not look like he was starving. Give me a minute, will you? I need to lay down, find my breath, and use it to let go of what just happened. Holding on to something like this is of no use to me anymore and will only hurt me." With that, I lay down on the ground, closed my eyes, and began to influence my breath, to slow down my heart that was pounding in my head. With each breath, I let go of what had happened and slowly moved back into the present. As I lay there, I began to smile because I could hear Leopard asking Corey about the zigzag thing. It's not easy to target a gun on a human, as you may think, or on anything else. "If it were, everybody would be a sniper," Corey sermonized. We were now in his expertise. There are so many factors that go into shooting a target: your stance, your aim, your eyesight, your balance, and so forth. So if you're ever being shot at, which based on what I'm hearing at these meetings is fairly probable, run from side to side as fast as you can. What? Purred Leopard. Why did you humans not send out this memo at the beginning of time? Leopard paced back and forth, shaking his head until he came to a standstill in front of the human. Now, Corey, let me give you some advice. If ever there is an animal chasing you, no matter which way you run, the chances of us catching you are pretty good. At this, he rolled onto his back, flipped all 4 legs up into the air and started laughing uncontrollably. And of course, it was so contagious that all of us, including Corey, joined him. Thanks, Leopard. I lifted myself off the ground. That is exactly what I needed to bring my energy back to its calm sattvic state and my mind back into the present. Namaste, moon, earth, ocean, trees, animals, plants, rocks, all of you, really. I bowed to all those around me. Namaste, they bowed back. Tonight, under moon, we shall finish the yamas. Please settle down onto your sitting bones or the part of your body developed to rest and turn your awareness and attention to this moment. I watched the human lay down on his back and place his head on the belly of orangutan, for a connection had grown between both of them. The 4th form of restraint is abstinence, which does not mean to cease and desist all sex. It means to have restraint in your actions and to allow your sexual instincts to follow your mind and not the other way around. Thus, as your mind becomes more and more pure, your desire for sex in its own time will lessen. Because let's face it, human, if we asked you to give up sex all in one go, we would just be asking you to fail. What is also meant by this vow is not to commit adultery. That is to say, by far, one of the most harmful things you can do to someone. That pain has far-reaching repercussions not only on the participants, but on families, friends, and kids. Adultery also deeply affects those who commit that act by planting negative seeds in them, so they find that for the rest of their life they continue to experience unhealthy relationships, and the search for a suitable companion always remains elusive. In ancient texts, sex was condoned between 2 consenting adults who had reached the age of responsibility, so long as they did not have commitments to someone else. In the yogic discipline, there is an explanation as to why you humans are so deeply attracted to sex beyond procreation. In the human body, there is a main energy channel called Shushuma that runs from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. When energy flows freely through this channel, it allows for strong, elevated emotions to flow through it and can eventually take you to a state of bliss, enlightenment, nirvana, and so forth. From the time you are in the womb, however, that middle channel begins to be choked from the side channels. These channels, which begin behind your nostrils and run down the left and right side of your body, intersect the main channel in 3 places: at the top of your spine, the middle spine, and the lower spine, which coincidentally is where you humans often experience back and neck pain. These are known as Ida and Pingala. Not surprisingly, the human spine, nervous system, skeleton, etc. develops around and mirrors these energy channels known as nadis, of which there are over 72,000 in your body. In science, you would probably call them arteries, veins, capillaries, bronchioli, nerves, lymph canals, etc. It is intriguing how the human's anatomy form reflects the movement of energy throughout the body. Even though nadis have no physical manifestation, there exists an order in which they move through the body. Your thoughts fly through these side channels, as well as your thoughts about your thoughts. They represent the duality that came out of creation of the feminine and the masculine. The left channel, Ida, is the feminine and is located where most of the nerves and pressure points for your parasympathetic system resides, the source of energy expansion and the yin in you. The right side, Pingala, represents the masculine sympathetic side, grounded in the sun and the systems in which your unique creativity rises. But I digress. When your side channels are flowing with positivity, kindness, giving, compassion, your middle channel cracks open and you experience something akin to bliss. You humans can also feel this at the end of a good yoga practice because the poses and breath work to open the choke points and let energy flow through the main channel. You know that overwhelming feeling of love that sometimes accosts you where you want to just explode? You know, like how you feel every time you're around me, I exclaimed, teasing the human. You feel as if though you are floating and something in you is opened and untethered and released. This is what happens when the middle channel experiences openness at the level of the heart. In fact, when you humans die, your side channels dissolve and the middle channel completely opens, which is why so many humans see angels, spirits, and light when they are about to die. There is another point, however, when for a moment the spirit breath flies up the middle channel and you experience extreme elation. It is when you orgasm. Yup, orgasm. And when you experience that fleeting feeling of ecstasy akin to enlightenment, you want more of that feeling. But like the orgasm, the feeling is temporary and does not create a lasting transformation in you. Yet, humans chase it time and time again through sex, though never really being completely satisfied because like all emotions attached to desires, they are fleeting, impermanent. When you follow the yogic path, however, eventually you reach a point when that feeling of bliss and elation sits within you all the time. Once the desire for that fleeting orgasm wanes and you are unburdened from STDs, heartbreak, rejection, or the dumping of large amounts of energy. The latter is one of the strongest reasons that yogis abstain from sex. To conserve energy that is used instead to fuel introspection and a state of internal joy. When sex is aggressive, fast, and unconnected, you use energy with every orgasm as well as with all the negativity that accompanies such sex. That energy could be used to fuel your internal growth. Among yogis, it has been told that seminal fluid is a source of life that, if stored properly and not ejected out into the world, can bring forth vast amounts of energy. The same is for women who retain their orgasms. This conserved energy transforms into a subtle energy called ochas, which is often manifested as a magnetism or aura that flows off the individual. Brahmacharya is all about not letting your senses and hence urges rule your behavior, because anything that causes turbulence in your mind gives rise to low vibrational emotions that drain you. Remember the game of 100 euros? Well, if every time you had unconnected, meaningless sex just for the orgasm, and you had to give 50 euros away, would you be so quick to jump into sex? I took a moment to spread my wings and gave the orchestra of nature their moment to do so as well. For us, sex was not an issue at all. We used it to procreate and to ensure the survival of our diminishing species. But for humans, this Yama was bigger than the tallest mountain and just as hard to climb to the top, because it was deeply connected to their self-worth and their attachment to desires. Now, the fifth and last form of self-control in yoga is to overcome possessiveness and attachment to things such as your body, people, knowledge, money, events, and certain acts by not believing that happiness is to be gained by the accumulation of all of the above. For when you bind your emotional state to your attachments, you descend into a state of one of two minds. Remember the coloring of likes and dislikes? Well, in the first mind, you find yourselves unhappy when you see someone else gaining something nice, as if there is something so bad in someone having a moment of joy because you think happiness should be only yours. As a result, you allow your mind to shift into envy and jealousy. Some of you even take it a step further by then stealing the other person's joy and gossip, or theft of their idea. Walking beside this state of mind is the flip side, where you feel joy when another fails, tumbles into misery, and falls almost as if you are immune to catastrophe and it could never happen to you. What is wrong with you humans? Really, take a moment and observe yourself. How much of your day do you spend being unhappy at others' happiness and happy at their unhappiness because they either possess what you do want, what you do not want, or have lost what only you should possess. Simply translated, this vow asks you to live without attachment to anything. Because attachment to your mind, your thoughts, your body, objects, people, places is the root to all suffering. When you lose that to which you are attached, you suffer. Non-attachment, however, does not mean not caring. By all means, enjoy an experience. In fact, experience all the magnificence nature has to offer you. Just don't attach your emotions and identity to it. So human, please spend as much time as you want with us. We are always here to offer you love, but do not attach to us. We are not yours to own or to possess. Attaching to anything including us would be like a river attaching to a rock or a bank of earth. Imagine that. I flew into the air and hovered. There you have it. A place to start your journey and the foundation upon which we will now build. When you next join us, we will pursue observances, and then off we shall meander onto the other limbs of yoga. I feel as if you all need a little rejuvenating, so to finish today's moonlit class, I ask that those of you who can come into a headstand, a shoulder stand, or dive straight down into the ocean, please do so. It was a circus worth watching as all sorts of appendages shot up into the air. In doing so, they gave energy to their immune systems, rejuvenated their legs, and lengthened their spines to give space for the nerves that shot out of each vertebra. Each inversion aided their balance and gave rise to feelings of joy. For some minutes, you heard nothing but breath and felt joy dance around the cove. The luminous human stood out among all of nature's being, for he was magnificent in his form. Now, slowly make your way out of the pose and into child's pose, allowing the blood to return to its regular sites. Stay here for a moment, expanding the back on the inhale and relaxing the chest on the exhale, as if you were a bullfrog. In one inversion pose, we had moved from the Rajasic movement state to the Sattvic calm state. Inversions were very powerful at creating that transition. Now, slowly raise your chest and uncurl your back vertebra by vertebra until your spine is elongated. Keep your eyes closed and connect with your breath to ground you back into the present. Place the palms of your hands together and thumb on your heart as we finish our journey today with our Om. We begin our inhale now. And just like that, we merged again, as it was meant to be, as one.